Welcome to Up and Running with QGIS 3.14 Lesson 2. In this video, we are going to talk about QGIS interface. But first, let's look at the reasons why we use QGIS. The first reason is QGIS is free, as in lunch. This means that it's absolutely free. There's no recurring fee, there's no licensing, nothing. You'll pay a total of zero money to use QGIS. Secondly, it is free, as in liberty. This means you can sponsor the development of a feature if you are good at programming and add it yourself. Third reason why we use QGIS is because it's constantly developing. Because anyone and everyone can add new features and improve on the existing ones, QGIS never stagnates. You don't need to wait for a year or two for you to get the new updates and all that. Fourth reason is that extensive help is available online. If you're stuck with anything, check online and see what other QGIS users are doing. And the fifth reason is that it crosses platforms. This means that it can be installed on a Mac, on a Windows, on Linux, and even Android. So now that we know the reasons why we use QGIS, let's go to our installation folder where we had actually installed QGIS. So we're going to look for our folder. Remember, in our previous lesson we had installed QGIS 3.14. So we're going to open QGIS 3.14. Within the folder, there are other shortcuts of the program. So we're going to be dealing with QGIS Desktop 3.14. So one thing you can do, if you don't want to keep on coming to the folder, you can right-click on the folder on the shortcut, and then send it to the desktop and create a shortcut to the desktop. The reason why I like leaving my QGIS shortcuts in the folder is because I have so many QGIS versions installed. I have QGIS 2.16, 2.18, 3.4, 3.6, QGIS 3.8 and 3.10. Many people will ask me why do you need all these QGIS applications? Some are already dead and buried. But I will tell you one thing. Sometimes when you're running something in QGIS 3.14, it tend to crash. But if you use QGIS 2.16 or 2.18, it runs smoothly. So it's always good to retain some of these older versions. So let's open QGIS 3.14 now that we have our desktop, or the shortcut on the desktop, and look at the interface. For first-time users, it will actually load your plugins very, very quickly. But since I have so many plugins installed on my QGIS, it will take a little bit of time. But let's wait and see what comes up. As you wait for it to come up, I can show you my previous version. Like for example, when I open the folder for 2.18, I'll find all the shortcuts in. If I open my folder for 3.4, I'll find all my shortcuts in. If I open for 3.6, I'll find all my shortcuts in. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really make sense so much sometimes to put all the shortcuts on the desktop, because they'll actually just crowd your desktop. So it's always good to let them be in a folder. It will be up in the next few seconds.
Now, when you open your QGIS, it might have a different interface from mine. The reason why mine is like this is because I have done several projects previously before in QGIS, but since you are doing it for the first time, it will have so many blank spaces. Like for example, under recent projects, you might not find these. So we want to start by just looking at some of the very most important features in QGIS. We'll start by customizing our QGIS to our need. So for me to have a almost similar interface with yours, I'll click on project and then new, and I'll have a blank project. You might find that you have a browser panel up here or down here. It doesn't really matter. I normally never use the browser. I usually like to have this nice interface where I can see most of my layers without any interference. So if you want to, you can actually close that browser panel, or you can let it be there for your own use. How do I return my browser panel? Very simple. I just go to view, then I go to panels. What do I want to see on the panel? I want to see browser, and you will see my browser appears below here. Yours might be up or below, so I usually just normally cancel. I usually like having just the layer panel there. So first things first, let's look at the interface of QGIS. There is the menu bar. Just like any other software, the menu bar has tabs, and yours might lack one or two tabs that I have. This is because I've customized my QGIS, already have loaded plugins and all that. We're going to talk about plugins in another session. Now, on the menu bar, the things that you're not going to be like are project, edit, view, layer, settings, plugins, vector, raster, database, web, mesh. I don't think you have HTML.js and all these others. Processing is very important to have it. And then the help. For you to start a project, you will click on project, click on new project. If you already have an existing project, you can go to project, go to open a project, or you can just go to open recent, and it will show you a list of all the recent projects that you have. For example, I have a recent project of this. If I wanted to just load it to QGIS, I'll click on this. But now we want to dwell on the new project. That's the first thing you do when you open QGIS and you want to start a project. You click on project and then select new. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at some of these tabs. Under edit, you will see that there is some certain things or some certain things you can actually do in QGIS, like do, undo, cut feature, copy feature. They're actually mostly inactive right now because there's nothing loaded on your working area. So we'll go to the next view, and you can see there's new map, new 3D map, and it has also several tools that you're going to use when you're doing your project. Then there is setting. You can actually change your settings here. I won't encourage you to change much of what is inside here. Then there is plugins. Plugins enable you to have extra functionalities. You can see I have so many plugins here, but for you, since it's the first time you've installed your QGIS, you might just have manage and Python console. I'm going to show you how to install and improve your QGIS by putting plugins. The next thing is vector. This is where all the vector analysis runs. Then raster. Raster also has all the raster analysis, database, web, mesh, and all that. Then there is the processing, where there is the toolbox and other features. Then there is the help. This is why we're talking about, we were saying the QGIS actually is a very user-friendly software. A lot of help can be gotten here through maybe say resources that are actually put in this section. So let's start. Now that you know the interface of the QGIS, where we have the menu bar, and these are the toolbars, some of them which are just within here and are shortcuts. Then there is the layer panel, where all your layers that you're actually working on will appear. Then there is the overview. This is where now all the where the nice drawings and all the nice maps will be appearing. So let's start by loading our first simple layer. So below here you can see I have some figures. When I scroll like this, I can see some figures under the coordinate changing. This is because I've already worked on any project. For your case, you might be having something blank. So let's try and see if we can actually add some information here. So I'm going to just cancel everything here, and then I'm going to type the word world and hit enter. Yes, and you will see the map of the whole world will appear here. And I want to explain some things. And you will see the coordinates now will start working. You will see when you move around to different regions of the world, the coordinates keep on changing. Then there is the scale. This is the scale of the map currently. There is the rotation, you can rotate. Then there is the EPSG. This means this is the projection of a map. So let's say, for example, and people usually ask, what is projection? Normally we usually told that the world is round or spherical, but when you get your maps, they're usually flat. How do you achieve flatness on a map? By you achieve flatness using projection. And projection is the way 3D surfaces of the Earth surface are represented by 2D on a 2D flat piece of paper or on a 2D flat screen. So we are going to, that is how actually the world is stretched. It's called projection. So we're going to learn several kinds of projection. So how do you change a projection? Let's just try and do one or two manipulations. But currently it is EPSG 4326. So I'll just click on that tab and it will load these. And you can see under CRS we have selected the WGS 84, and you can see there's an overview here of a small map, the world, and how the map actually changes. So I want us to do this. I want us to change it. Instead of 4326, I want us to put 3857, and then select the pseudo Mercator, then select apply and see what happens. And you see the shape of the world changes. Let's also do something else. Let's change it from 3857 and let's use a bit of a projection that is a national projection system, like a UTM. So like, for example, those guys who are in the northern hemisphere, they'll use that 326, and those who are in the southern hemisphere, they will use 327. So let's try and see what happens when we try to select these regions. So try to select your region and be looking at the map, and you can see there are very many you can select from. So if you're making a scale, actually UTM is not usually suitable for large scale areas, so we normally just use mostly the WGS 84 in many projects. So let's go back to 4326, which is the geographic coordinate system, the whole world by K. So that is how you manipulate around the projection. Now, how do we load another layer on QGIS? That's the next thing here. Now that we have loaded our first layer, which is a vector layer, how are we going to get other layers to overlay in our QGIS? Very interesting. So we'll open our browser. There are several ways, and most of these GIS links, I usually have bookmarks for them. I think I'm going to share most of them in the description below and see all my bookmark. marks, but I will type here diva GIS to get my first data in QGIS. And you'll see the first tab actually says free, simple, and effective. Select that first link. Then go to, there are actually 3 tabs here. Select the free spatial data because we want to talk about the spatial data. Then there is, under the free spatial data, there is this red popping icon, red popping link that actually will enable you to select your country level. So select country level data, and you will select any country of your choice. Like for example, I can select any country, like for example maybe they select maybe say Italy. I want the administrative areas of Italy, so I'll say okay, and then it will take me to the next tab where I click on download. What am I downloading? I'm downloading the administrative units of Italy. I'll click on download. It will ask me where do I want to save them. I will look for I'll create my working folder on the desktop, and I'll call it new folder. I'll call it GIS. I already have a folder called GIS on my desktop, so I'm just going to select it. Oh, I don't have it. I'm going to just create one called GIS. Within the folder, I'm going to create another new folder called data. Open it. Then I will save these into my folder. Already downloaded. I'll not open it. I'll go back. Then I'll go back to download data by country, and I will select now in the drop down the roads. I want the roads of Italy, so I'll say okay. Click on download. Then I told my downloader to remember our folder, GIS folder. So I'll start downloading. It's already finished downloading. I'll go back again, the tab. Then I'll select, maybe say inland waters. These are spatial data, inland waters for Italy. Then I click on download. Then I still save it in the same folder. And that is how you actually download data for any country. I can go back again. I can select any other that I want. So actually not all the data that you want is in these. At least it gives you a starting point. So I'll go back. You can go to a different country. Maybe say let's go to an African country. Maybe say Nigeria. Yes, administrative areas for Nigeria. Click on OK. Download. And then I still save it there. Minimize as it continues downloading. It has already finished downloading. I'll also do the same thing for inland waters. Good. Then I'll also do the same thing for the roads. Click on OK. Load. Loading. Hey, that is one way of downloading free spatial data. Another way of downloading free spatial data is through, especially for humanitarian organizations, they have a very big database in OCHA. So, OCHA. I say OCHA data, geospatial data, or spatial. And you'll see humanitarian exchange welcome. Then I can go directly to the data sets or click on the website to see what they have. So find data. What kind of data do I want? And you can see there are very, very many kinds of data. So I want data for maybe let's say Uganda. And you can see I have a new tab appearing here and it's saying Uganda health sites. So I'm going to download the zip shape file. So I'm going to click on download the zip shape file. So I'll just open a new tab so that I don't lose this. Just open it in a new tab. Then I'll scroll down. They're usually on overview here, but I'm not waiting for that. I'm looking for shape files. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for shape files. So I'll click on download. I'll still save that in that folder. Then I'll go back to this again. There is Ugandan roads. I'll click on zipped shapefile. You can see there's a small preview being loaded there, but I'm not interested in that. I know that these are Ugandan roads. I'll click on download. Then I'll click on save that download. I'll still go back. Oh, I closed that, so I'm going to go back, then go to maybe say so many. I'm looking for the ones that have are zip shapefile. You can see there are sub-national administrative boundaries here. So I'm going to download zip shapefiles. I'm going to click on shapefiles. There are very many. You can see there is one here. Oh, okay, it's just one. I'm going to download this shapefile.shp. SHP. And I think that is enough data that we're going to use for our exercise. So as it downloads, now let's go to our folder where we have actually downloaded our data. So I'm going to my desktop and I have the GIS folder here. And under the GIS folder, you can see there is our data. So all these are zipped shape files that you can see. There is Italy admin, Italy road, Italy water, Nigerian admin, Nigerian roads, Nigerian water. And then there is the Ugandan administration boundary, Ugandan roads, and Ugandan shapefile. I think those are health facilities if I'm not wrong. Let me just change that to health. So what I will do, I will unzip all these so that we can start working with them. So I'll unzip them into separate folders. So I'll extract each archive to separate folders. The reason why I do this is because I want to retain more original data and work with this data so that if in case anything goes wrong, I have my original data. So we are going to learn how to load vector layers. How do we load vector layers? For me, I have shortcuts here, but for you being a new user, I'm going to take you to the layers tab. So we'll go to the layers tab. Then under layers tab, there is data source manager, create layer. Then there is add layer. What kind of layer do you want to add? Because you already have the layers downloaded from different websites. So I'll go and add vector layer. Remember, all these types of layers can be loaded in QGIS, but currently we're working with vector layer, which are the shape files. So we're going to select add vector layer. Then this box pops up. You can see vector raster. So vector should be selected. We are adding a file, and we're going to browse for where that vector layer is. We're going to browse for our GIS folder. So I'll select, then go to my desktop, then go to GIS. Can you see GIS? Yes, here's GIS. Then data. Now we have our folders here. The Italy admin, Italy roads, Italy water, Nigerian admin, Nigerian roads, and Nigerian waters. And when we were actually, so I'm going to select first and foremost, I'm going to select for Italy. Let's see how Italy data looks like. I'm going to select Italy data, and you can see Italy admin. It has actually so many files here. Some of these files, like for example, you can see there is Italy admin 0, admin 0, admin 0. Then there is Italy admin 1, admin 1, admin 1 again. So for every feature, for every layer, it actually has supporting files. Like, but the one that we are interested in is the .shp, the shape of whatever we are working on. So I'm going to customize here. Instead of all files, I'm going to select. You can see there are so many kinds of file formats that actually can be included in QGIS. The AutoCAD, the XF files, the comma separated values, the GPX files, the KML files. So we're going to look at all these, most of these files that as we continue with our lessons. So currently I'm interested in the S3 shapefile. So I will select S3 shapefile, ESRI shapefile. And you can see now it customizes. What does this mean? It means Italy's administrative unit is comprised into 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 units. So you can actually load all of them at once, or you can load one by one. So for now, I'm going to just load one of the layers. Then click on open, then click on add, then close. And you will see a new layer will be loaded here called Italy. So we have several tools here that we're going to use to actually be able to see to see our data much better. So I don't want to see the whole of the world. I want to see Italy. There are so many things I can do here. One, I can decide to use the zoom in tool. I can select the zoom in tool and then just zoom in. And when I'm done zooming in, I can zoom out. Second thing I can do is I can just come to my layer, select my layer, right click on my layer and say zoom to layer. That's another way of zooming in and out. So we'll load another layer from Italy. So let's click on layer, add vector layer. Going to browse again. I'm going to select Italy roads. I'm going to select the road. Now you can see, once you've already customized it to an Esri shapefile, then automatically it remembers that you had actually customized it to Esri shapefiles. If I return it to, if I maybe select GPX Exchange, you can see there's no GPX file here. So we always maintain, and most of the time the kinds of files that we use are either Esri shapefiles or KML files or GJSON. So we are going to just maintain Esri shapefile here, and you can see I can go back here to data, then I go select roads, then click on open, then click on add, click on close, and you can see it has loaded. You can use the zoom in tool here to zoom in and out, zooming out and zoom in, and you can see it has actually loaded some layers here, and these are the road networks of Italy. So the third thing that I can actually load is I can load the inland waters for Italy. So I'll go to layer, add vector layer, then I'll browse. They're still under file. I'll browse, go back to data, inland water, then I can select areas, water areas. Maybe I want to see some of the lakes, some of the dams and all that. So click on add, then close, and you can see there's some new data here that is loaded. So that's how we load, and you can use the zoom in, zoom out. You can use these tools to zoom in and zoom out, zoom to last, zoom to next, and all that. So basically that's how we load our first layer in QGIS. I hope this was helpful. Before we go to the next lesson, I'm going to just tell you to do something very important that many people forget. When you're working on a project, we'll save our project. So I'm going to click on project, then click on save. Then I'm going to save it in my GIS folder, call it lesson 2 interface. You can call it anything you like. Then I click on save. So you can see it has changed here to lesson 2 and that is the interface of QGIS. You can try loading all the other data for Uganda and Nigeria by following the procedure that I've shown you. Just the same, you go to GIS data and select, maybe say Nigerian admin. It will tell you the administrative units of Nigeria. So I'm going to select admin 2, open, add, close. Then you can see I can't see Nigeria here, but I can right click, then zoom to layer, and it will take me to the administrative units of Nigeria. So I can zoom out if I want to see if it's placed well, and you can see this is the exact place where Nigeria is. You can also use the pan tool to see how far Nigeria is, and you can also compare it with Italy. So if you found this video useful, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. And for the next lesson, make sure you hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of my next video, which is on Friday. Thank you.